Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon. If you don't know me, I've been rank 1 in Wild Rift all solo queue, and I've been a 5-role sovereign on 5 different accounts in one season all solo queue. And today we're going to be showing you guys a super high elo legend queue lobby. So you can see rank 3 is my Aurora, my Nautilus is rank 9, and my Gragas is rank 24. This is on the server, by the way. You can see the little thing under there, like in the middle name, that shows what there are on the server for legendary queue. I'm 143, so we're, I think, about 200-ish points from legend at this point. So again, a very high elo lobby. And we're kind of going to be talking about how the high elo games sort of differ, or just like kind of just show you guys again my general thought process throughout this game. And yeah, basically just going to talk about that. So we do end up losing this game. Again, I always am kind of, I tell you guys the results. I don't really, that's not the point of my videos, you know, to show you a result for like entertainment purposes. So we lose this game. When I've been playing Viego recently, because I've been learning him, I think I've played about 20 or 30 games of him this season. So I'm not super good at him yet, but I struggle a lot in the really tanky comps, and you're going to see how the enemy, they're very tanky, they can easily lock me down, and I kind of have trouble throughout the game with that. And that's, you know, one of the reasons we kind of lose. And so one of the things I'm trying to pay attention to is how that could be different, like how I could play differently to avoid that in certain situations. And again, we'll just kind of talk about my thought process. So here, I path towards my duo lane because they have good gank setup. As Viego, I care a lot more about having lanes with good gank setup because I don't have great gank setup myself early game. Whereas again, if I'm playing Vi or Warwick, a lot of the champions I play more frequently, they are very good at forcing ganks on their own, so they can just go and pretty much target whatever lane they think is going to fight more. But Viego, before level 5, he's not like bad early game, but I'm going to lose a skirmish to Hecarim, for example. So I want to be fighting around people who can set me up well and can make those plays for me rather than me having to do them myself, because again, I'm going to lose to a champion like Hecarim. So here we just simply full clear. We know that Hecarim is pathing same side as us because when we hit the Scryer's Bloom on the red side, we saw that his blue was already gone. So I know there's a chance of him matching me. And because my teammates are losing lane currently in the top side, and I don't have prio there, the only way I can contest is if Aurora really helps me out a lot there. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Like, is Aurora going to help me rotate? So you see when Hecarim goes in here, and my teammates get mad at me for this, but I completely think it was the correct play. I ignore the Hecarim, and I decide to go double scuttle him. Because, I mean, I try to save my teammate's life here briefly. Like, you're going to see if I can get a stun to save his life. But I don't try to contest, you know, in like hard fight. And I do lose my flash because I go a bit too deep here, but again, kind of was trying to stun to save his life and shouldn't have even done that, to be frank. But I don't go and match right away because I know I can't contest them level 4. Viego level 4, not strong at all. The enemy were very tanky, and they're just generally good champions into me in that situation. They had prio. And so understanding that, not over-forcing, and again, I could have even gone earlier to here, but we do eventually go, and we find the stun on Camille. And then we chase her down. She does E, and then we're barely able to get her. Hecarim tries his best to get me away from this soul, but we are able to get it. And luckily, I'm good at Camille, so I pick up Camille, and I actually know what my buttons do. And we're able to outplay that Hecarim very, closely there. So you can kind of see how, because I was able to get that scuttle first and get that level 5 first, and get the jump on the Camille, we're able to find an advantage somewhere rather than trying to force the top side too hard. Again, I honestly forced even top side a little harder than I should have, but you can see how being aware of that kind of allowed me to, get something done. And so we get a good early game double kill there. Obviously, that helps us out a lot. And at this point now, we're just looking, clear our camps and reset, spend all of our gold. I have been going Essence Reaver first. I think Collector first is something I want to try too. I've been going Collector second instead of first on Viego, but I think first item can be really good if the enemy comp's really squishy. I think in this type of comp, I should go Essence Reaver for sure, but if they're really squishy and I'm snowballing, I think Collector can be better because the pen kind of helps. And obviously, you can one-shot people and, get a soul really quickly. But again, here we're pretty much just hovering, like, can we counter gank? Viego is a lot more about you counter gank and you find, like, one reset and you go from there. And so my teammate finds a nice engage, but we're not quite able to kill the Jarvan because he does have his flash. But we're able to at least get his flash out, and Aurora's kind of able to clean up decently well here. And I missed my stun on Hecarim because I suck, but it is what it is. So overall, again, early game goes very well here. And early game has been the thing that I've been doing super well on Viego. I mean, as a jungler in general, I'm always very good in early game. It's pretty rare I'll make these like silly mistakes. I'm pretty efficient, pretty much always getting my items, getting strong when I need to. because it's pretty simple. Again, it's just like I path towards the stronger laners or the laners that have good gank set up. If I see an angle to make a play with them, I will, but I don't overforce. You know, I usually don't get too greedy. Occasionally I do, obviously. Everyone makes mistakes, but pretty much, again, a very straightforward early game, and this is what you'll see for a majority of the early games I play. But the later on the game goes to kind of more issues that we'll see arise, you know, partially from champion, right? Like Viego is a champion where, again, I'm not the best assassin player. As I've been talking about, that's something I'm trying to get better at with Viego especially. But it's a champion where, again, like you can't kill these frontline as well, and they can obviously kill you. Like you're going to see Hecarim's pretty much just going to be able to jump on me for free at certain points in the game, or Camille's going to be able to ult me for free at certain points in the game. But again, we'll get into that as we go later on in the game. For now, my blue side camps are coming up, so I get a blue side camp, then I go red, and I want to contest this just Herald, because I have, you know, again, my mid is strong, Gragas is full HP, and then he starts recalling. I really didn't understand why he recalled here, and then he never like stopped it. Like his recall got stopped, but he didn't come. Very weird to me. We're able to luckily get the smite at least, and then we get out, or we die rather. But I keep auto-aiming my ult like it's a dash, because I have dash and move direction on. So if I tap a dash, it will dash in whatever direction I'm moving. But Viego ult doesn't do that. It targets whoever you go on to, like whoever's near you. So it'll always attack someone. So I auto-aim my ult there, and then I end up dying because I ult onto them. I think I might have died anyway because Camille might have just ulted, but yeah, that's something I keep doing. So I need to stop doing that, obviously, on Viego. But it's like a silly little thing I keep, you know, making a mistake of. But either way, we get the Herald. It's not the end of the world, and then now we just need to try to, you know, get back to protect our teammates. Nothing too complicated here. There's definitely like a lot of points in this game where Jarvan kind of gets out, and I like target him, and he's kind of the person to target. Here they don't really have very good like backline for me to target. Like Kassadin's pretty mobile, hard to kill. Or Zaya's pretty hard to kill. So a lot of times I'm kind of just having to wait until someone sort of blows up the enemy front line before we're really able to do anything. But you can see like it was just like a little more patience in these types of games from the enemy, rather than them sort of just going in and making stupid plays over and over again. Here we're just clearing camps, so I'm just, you know, skipping forward. But like in these higher elo games, again, like my I think my Gragas is rank 9, which surprised me. I thought he sucks, to be completely honest. Actually, a Legend Q kind of is a bad mode in terms of the like actual ability to climb. Like you can climb with pretty low win rate, so it's probably low win rate player. But either way, it's besides the point. You know, with the higher elo players in general, like you have, again, like you can't be greedy for these random side waves. For example, the enemy can turn on you in a second. Like here, the jungler's matching my pathing. I know he's matching my pathing. I greed for the wave to try to get more gold. But I'm always going to be ulted here, you know, by Camille, and she has really good gank setup. So not being aware of what the enemy can do, like the enemy are actually going to take advantage of these plays to just instantly one-shot you and look for these types of things. Whereas again, in lower elos, usually you're going to be able to get away with being a bit more greedy on side waves or things like that. And so again, these champions like Camille, Hecarim, they're very easily able to be locking me down. And this is kind of where the trouble begins in the game, where these, you know, sort of tankier champions that I can't really ever kill if they get on top of me, they're able to make some decent plays. Aurora does a good job here. But yeah, that kind of starts where now, like, we're more, I think the gold is probably relatively even at this point in the game. And so yeah, basically just having more patience and more awareness of where the enemy can be. Like here I stopped my teleport thing because I didn't know if Hecarim would be invading me. But yeah, we're able to get a decent amount of gold still from the side waves in this game, because we realize, again, like, at this point, my pacing is kind of bad, but I'm just going to try to get as much gold as possible. Gragas is building more tank. He doesn't need all this gold. He's also playing quite poorly, so we don't really want, you know, all the gold on our, like, bad player. Generally speaking, if I can take gold from these types of situations, I will. Then we drop the Herald bot because I know I'm not really going to get a tier 2 out of it, so I just want to get something at least. And going mid, it's very likely I can get caught out, so I want to just drop it somewhere where I know I can't really get caught out. And then we go back to, again, just farming. Here, I want to reset, but I also see a fight breaking out, so I know I can't really reset. So I end up, again, going to the fight. And then, once again, this is kind of where we're targeting Jarvan, and it's not bad that we target Jarvan, because we are able to end up killing him. Unfortunately, I missed my ult, and I think one of the biggest things that we see here is, like, lack of spell tracking a couple times for me. Like, again, when Jarvan flashed earlier, top side on that early play, and then I wasted my ult, I was a lot weaker there. Here, again, I ult, before the Hecarim. Like, he's never used his dash. If we look at him right now, he hasn't used his dash yet. And so then he uses his dash right there. He does a good job of dodging it. Again, like, these players are going to be able to dodge these types of skills more effectively compared to, obviously, worse players. Camille does a good job, again, of stalling and ends up flashing out. But as soon as we see the fight's over, I think we just kind of, get the turret, leave, go get bot gold, look for an invade, just get as much gold as we can out of the situation. But yeah, like, there's just these situations where a lot of times on Viego, I'm missing out on resets because, and I get greedy here, so I end up losing my flash, as you'll see, but there's a lot of situations where I don't keep track of the enemy spells properly, and then they're able to get out and I miss a reset. And you can't really do that as Viego because you're a very all-in champion. Like, you get punished very hard for making this type of mistake. Again, if you're playing a champion like Vi, like I do a lot, for example, you miss an engage or something, you're very tanky. You can, again, go back in. You're usually going to have a way out, with your W movement speed, or just with how tanky you are, you can just walk out half the time. Viego can't do that. If you ult and you miss your ult, or your ult doesn't get a kill, you're kind of screwed. And so, again, having that additional spell tracking is extremely important. And you can see some of the mistakes I made in relation to that kind of leading to the game being a bit harder, but we're still in a fine spot because, again, we're still playing relatively efficiently. Nothing too complicated, and we're able to get the smite here. I do miss it, but we end up, still getting it. And then we chase kind of deep here. We probably could have just gone to Baron. And this is, again, like, I didn't understand this Gragas. Like, he flashed forward, so he ends up dying. And at this point, we're just in a pretty bad spot because I don't even know. I don't remember if I do kill Hecarim. Yeah, we do end up getting him at least, so, not the end of the world, but yeah, a lot of really weird stuff from the Gragas. I have no idea how he's top 10 on the server, but he is. And then here, we end up just getting killed again, just getting targeted by the Camille. Like, a lot of situations where we get locked down and it's pretty hard to play. But I think, like, the biggest issue there was, again, choosing to kind of chase the topside fight super deeply. Definitely would have been better to just push out mid after that, after the dragon, and then control the Baron side of the map. Whereas, again, you see a lot of fighting going on topside here. When they have a lot of ways to lock me down. Like, Camille ult is up. I know Camille ult's up. Camille's going to show up at some point, and I'm fighting despite that because, again, I'm thinking about what's on my screen. Like, oh, I can go and fight these people right away. But, again, Camille can lock me down real easily. Hecarim can too. So me fighting so early and engaging these fights so early as the assassin when I'm this squishy, again, in these higher elo games is not going to work. Like, you're usually going to get away with that if you're in lower mid-elo games, but when you're playing against people who are top 10 on the server, because I assume the enemy, I didn't check exactly, but they're obviously going to have like 3 legends as well, since we had 3 legends. And when you're in these types of situations, you have to actually be aware of like what the enemy champions can do, and not just, oh, these people are on my screen, they're probably just making a mistake and dying. Like, it's much more frequent that the enemy aren't just like inting and dying for no reason. They're baiting for their teammates, like Camille, again, bot side, Camille finds a lot of angles here in this game in general onto me. And just being aware of that and kind of, again, buying like a stasis, for example, to be able to stall that out. Those types of things are important, and kind of some of the mistakes we saw from me, at various times in this game. So waiting for something like Xayah ult as well, and then trying to go on them, once that's gone. Whereas here, unfortunately, again, like, my target priority is quite bad. Like, we know Xayah ulted, and we see Xayah here. We know she's low in the fight. I should be looking for a reset here, but I'm going into the tanky champions I can't one-shot. But again, like, I have my flash too. Like, if we look at Xayah right now, like, if my eyes are on Xayah, I'm going to get a reset on Xayah, and I'm probably going to be able to pop off in the fight. But I'm kind of lacking that, and again, I'm hitting the front line right away here. And I try to get the Hecarim, and we nearly do, but again, just like that bad target priority means that we probably, I don't know if we could have won that fight, because we're still, they do have generally really good champions into us, and the fight was still lost pretty hard, but that's 100% what we could be doing better there. So yeah, with a lot of these assassins, again, it's like really about that target priority in a lot of these situations and the spell tracking. And you can see the mistakes that I've been making there. And look at Kai'Sa kind of outplay, kind of fancy Kai'Sa there. Another Camille, again, like, it's just like more outplays. Like, just look at this situation, and that's what I like about, when you get the higher elo games. Like, I'm not saying everyone played perfect, and my Gragas was dog shit. And, my teammates, like, they're not bad. They're playing fine. Again, I made a lot of mistakes. We've seen plenty of mistakes here, right? So I'm not saying the people here are like super, super insane, but just like simple outplays like this. Like, if you're watching like the average, like, fucking master game, you don't see this. But here, again, it's just like, mechanically speaking, the players actually play it decently well. Camille is aware of the fact that she's so much stronger that she can bully the turret. But then Kai'Sa is aware of the fact that, like, her champion still can outplay because she can dodge a lot of the spells with her ult, with her E and whatever. And so they're just Eing around, like actually kiting properly, ulting to kite, and then again Camille makes a nice outplay, but gives away a shutdown, so it was kind of greedy of Camille. But like just those level of like additional mechanics or people understanding their champion better. It's nothing crazy. Unfortunately, the game quality in general in Wild Rift is not very high, but you can see at least in the higher elo games, like people, they'll still make mistakes. They're not going to play perfectly, but there's more mechanical outplays. There's more coordination with like the Camille actually targeting me properly, for example. Again, like I'm, you know, kind of the really fed person on my team. Apart, my Aurora is also pretty strong. And in a lot of situations, you're a fed Viego or a fed assassin, and the enemy Camille just doesn't target you because they're just not aware of it. And so you can see how in higher elos, they're more aware of that. And because of that, you have to be more aware of that yourself as a Viego, as an assassin. And this is the biggest issue I see with a lot of assassin players when I coach them. And you can see me having a similar issue, you know, being a player who doesn't play a lot of assassins. And my best assassin champion is Echo, who kind of has a way out, so it's a bit of a different play style. And so getting used to these all-in assassins is a very different way to play. And again, that's what I like about the game is, even though I've literally hit 5-role Sovereign, I've hit rank 1, there's still other like archetypes or champions or you know whatnot that I haven't mastered. And there's so many different things to master in the game, and this is definitely one of these things where you can see some of the clear issues that lead to this type of game being lost, where yes, I'm still following the general things I tell you, where I'm being patient, I'm farming well, you know, we're doing all these things, but the lack of like spell tracking here, again, not keeping track of when does Camille ult out, when does Hecarim dash, you know, when does Jarvan use his gargoyle, does he have gargoyle, does he have flash, like keeping track of these specific spells is going to lead to me being able to find these all-in angles a little bit more effectively. And that's ultimately the difference between us winning or losing this game. Like, this is a relatively close game throughout. The enemy now, they're in a decent spot, but they're even now they're not like in a, you know, it's not unwinnable. But you can see these are kind of the differences. And again, just like small outplays like that on the Camille, just dodging her spells, and the enemy trying to make these outplays. Gragas missing his ult, because again, this Gragas is very bad. I don't know how this guy's ranked 10. I just keep saying that because it's actually shocking to me. But Camille's able to kill us. Honestly, I should have been a bit more patient there. And we would have been fine. But either way, we killed 2 for 1. So it's not bad, but I didn't need to die. Again, a lot of mechanical mistakes. Which is, again, it makes sense. Like, I definitely need to spam this champion more. And you can see when you have a lack of comfort with your champion as well, that's why I tell you guys to spam, you know, 1 or 2 champions and be really good at them. Because if you'll watch this game, again, like, if we look at, right, I have a bunch of gold. Like, even in a game where the game's not going the best for our team, I'm still the most gold in my team. I'm very fed, and you know, like, I'm in the position to carry, and I'm still going to play well. But when I'm playing champion I don't know as well, you'll see more mistakes or more random deaths or more, you know, just mechanical misplays. And that's why you should be spamming champions that you're actually good at. Obviously, if you want to learn champions, this is part of what you have to do, right? And sometimes you want to learn new champions, like I want to learn Viego. So you have to go through this and then, again, watch back your games and see what is it that's going wrong. Because the problem is when you play these types of games and you are generally like a player playing decently well, you're going to feel like, oh, well, I was still the best player on my team in a lot of situations. Not here. My Aurora was the best for this game. But like, generally speaking, like, you're like, oh, like, I played well and we still lost. But a lot of times it's those smaller details, because you don't play the champion as much, because you're not as comfortable, that lead to additional losses, even if you overall make good choices and play correctly. You know, like, I could carry this game even with Gragas, you know, playing really dumb, for example. And these types of things are important to note when you're learning new champions. Then again, we just kind of need to find a reset. I really shouldn't have ulted again. Like, that's, again, lack of spell tracking. He has Gargoyle, and yet I'm still looking for it. I could maybe go Anti-Shield 4th as well. Because of their shielding, I think Anti-Shield 4th is probably a better option this game. But yeah, again, like, wasting that ult there when he's not going to die. Again, a lot of that's due to lack of comfort. Just not knowing the limits, or not, again, spell tracking. So you can see throughout this game, really spell tracking is kind of the biggest problem that leads to a lot of these mistakes. And now we have to find a reset on someone, and if we don't, you know, obviously we're just going to lose. So at this point, again, Camille, she looks to target me, I believe, in a second here. And just like, again, target priority in these fights from different players is quite good. And then, yeah, she ends up going on my teammate there. And basically, I realized, like, I have to find a reset or else I can't really do anything. So we end up finding the reset, luckily, onto the Jarvan. Then we're able to kill the Xayah after. And I was super close to being able to kill the Kassadin, but I didn't, again, like, I didn't really keep track of people as well as I should have here. Like, I try getting my Xayah spells off when in reality what I should be doing is focusing purely on this Kassadin here. So again, like that lack of priority, and not necessarily because I did auto her obviously with Xayah, but that lack of realizing like, okay, Kassadin's gonna get ult in 2 seconds because that's what Kassadin does, you know, and then not ulting right away and instead trying to get Xayah damage off first when that's not what's gonna help me get the kill. Those types of mistakes lead to us again losing. So, you know, it's not like we play bad here. You can see the higher elo game is a bit more, you know, coordination, target priority, you know, being proper, like from the Camille there especially. I think Camille definitely carried this game pretty hard. And just overall, just higher level game, so I kind of wanted to show you guys that. And again, show you guys some of the common mistakes you're going to see when you're learning Assassins or playing Assassins, because I definitely see a lot of the mistakes I made in a lot of people I coach or whatever. And so sometimes it helps, even if you know, these are obvious mistakes, when you look back on it, you watch your gameplay back, it's easier to kind of see them. So the mistake, like again, really just spell tracking at the end of the day and going in sometimes too early. And then also, again, I had some target priority mistakes like on the Kassadin or on the Xayah in a different situation. So definitely keeping those things in mind when you're learning Assassins, I think, are some of the important things to note from this game. But yeah, overall, we do lose that game. These are the names of the players. It might mean something to you guys. I don't know. I don't really know who is what elo specifically, but I assume a lot of the enemy are legend as well. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.